I know slowly, like our anthem, because our anthem was there right from our school days, it was very easy. Vande Mataram, I have seen some people just humming. I think slowly we'll get used to it in course of time. Now I just request the AV team to please play the FSA anthem. So whatever little is visible,
respected dignitaries on the dais, Shri G.V. Narayana Rao Garu, Director Telangana Fire Services, Shri Y. Mohan Babu Garu, Director of Factories, Government of Telangana, Shri Sarvesh Singh Garu, CEO of Telangana Life Sciences, Shri Tapan Saha Garu, President Council of EHS Professionals, CEP, Shri Ashok Garu, Secretary, Joint Secretary, Council of EHS Professionals, my fellow colleague, Hussain Abuwala, Secretary of the FESA Hyderabad Chapter, distinguished speakers from across the spectrum of expertise relevant to this conference, delegates from across the pharma industry of this region, FECI members, CEP members, a very good morning. As the President of FECI Hyderabad chapter, it's my honor and privilege to welcome you all to the third edition of the FESA series of FECI Hyderabad. This being the second edition of FESA for the pharma industry. The first FESA on the pharma industry was conducted in November 2024 under the leadership of Mr. Prasad Nishtala, and it was a huge success. We at FECI Hyderabad appreciate and applaud the active support and participation of CEP, the Council of EHS Professionals, in helping us put together this one-day conference, FESA 2026 for the pharma, right in the heart of the oldest pharma cluster of this region. We have selected very relevant topics across fire safety, static and electrical safety, security and automation. Besides these knowledge-sharing sessions, a power-packed panel moderated by a veteran from this industry will deliberate on the gap assessment beyond statutory and regulatory compliance. We are confident that all of these will surely go a long way in strengthening this sector, as today we are presenting it to those who can lead from the front and drive a positive change. FESA 2026 seeks to drive a shift from firefighting to fire prevention, compliance to continuous safety, and reactive response to predictive risk management. Pharma fire safety cannot begin with a fire alarm. It must begin with hazard identification at the design stage and continue throughout the life of the plant. The ultimate objective should be zero fire rather than merely zero fatality, creating safer, more resilient and future-ready pharmaceutical facilities. The Hyderabad pharma sector's central challenge is not the absence of safety technology. It is ensuring that fire protection, process safety, electrical integrity, life safety and physical cyber security operate as one continuously managed risk system. The experience in Pasha Bailaram last year also demonstrates why a risk-based, independent and periodic audit model rather than a one-time compliance inspection is increasingly important. FECI was established in the year 2002 and has chapters across 23 cities and the UAE, working closely with the government and all the stakeholders to enable the Indian fire and security industry to reach global preeminence with better regulatory framework. The mission is to establish life safety and security as an important human obligation in the economic development, and the goal is to foster a spirit of safe living among all citizens of the country and inculcate a proactive mindset towards safety by continuous awareness programs. As FECI Hyderabad chapter sees itself as a bridge between the stakeholders, our objective is not to question regulation but to facilitate informed dialogue, identify practical challenges and contribute constructively for better implementation. Let us today work together and make Telangana not only a state of rapid development but also a state where every development is built with safety, responsibility and resilience at its foundation. On behalf of FECI Hyderabad chapter, I thank you all, our distinguished guests and participants for being here and wish you all a very productive and meaningful conference ahead. Thank you.
Now, may I request Sri Mohan Babu to address the gathering.
Good morning to all.
Good morning, sir.
Respected G. Narayana garu, Sarvesh Singh garu, Prasad garu, Ashok garu, and representatives of FESA and participants for this program, prevention and technical sessions. On behalf of Factories Department, my warm greetings to all of you, and particularly this organization for taking up this session and inviting the relevant departments and also the relevant people to make an awareness on fire safety. As told in the beginning, fire safety should start from identification, not only from prevention. Normally we say prevention is better than cure, but the prevention is possible only when it is identified. The prevention is possible only when it is identified. So the identification of hazard is very important for any industrial safety. The Factories Act, which was now replaced by the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020, or the manufacture, storage and import of hazardous chemical 1989. This gives 3 levels of responsibilities for the chemical factories. The primary level is some identification of the hazards. The primary responsibility is the identification of hazards in any chemical process, either during maintenance or handling of the chemical, storage of the chemical, transfer of the chemical, processing of the chemicals, and various reactions, and during the maintenance. What are the possible hazards in these industries that should be identified, and the information should be given to the department. The information to be given to the department is a statutory obligation. But identification and dissemination of that information to employees, this is not only the statutory obligation, it is a moral obligation for all of us to save the life of the people. So unless we disseminate the information on what are the hazards prevailing in that particular industry and train the people to cope up with those hazards, and whatever remedial measures management may take to avoid those hazards, unless the employees working there are aware of the actual hazards, they may not appreciate your remedial measures. They may not be following the remedial measures, they try to take the shortcuts. So that is the reason first step is the identification of hazard and dissemination of those hazards to all the concerned. Manufacture, storage of and import of hazardous chemicals also requires you to tell to not only to the employees, to the neighbors also. What are the hazards prevailing in this industry and what measures the industry is taking, and in case of emergency in that industry, what neighbors should do. So the information that is required to be given to employees may differ from that is required to be given to the neighbors, but neighbors at least should know what they should do in case of emergency. If some emergency alarm is raised, one kind of emergency alarm is raised, what they should do. Another kind of emergency alarm is raised, what they should do. At least this information should be disseminated to the neighboring public through the local administration. This is what the MSS rules specifies. This is the first tier responsibility. The second tier responsibility is the preparation of on-site emergency plan. In preparation of the on-site emergency plan for meeting the emergency, firefighting is another important aspect in that. Normally, most of the 90% of the emergencies that prevail are due to the fire only. And when it comes to the fire, I remember one incident almost 20 years back in the same Jeermetla area. There was one small fire in one chemical factory in phase 1 I think. And in phase 4, an engineering industry, while lifting some metal sheet by workers manually, it touched the overhead line, and 5 persons died in the incident. 5 persons died in the incident in Jeermetla phase 4, almost 20 years back. And on the same day, there was an incident in chemical factory in Jeermetla, a fire accident. No injuries, which was contained in 30 to 35 minutes because the fire station is nearby and the people are active, they could control the fire within 30 minutes. No injuries, not major property damage. But the next day newspaper highlighted the fire incident, not the death of 5 people in an engineering industry. That is the reason we should be more, this is not only for the public awareness, we need to be more careful regarding the fire, because the kind of accident that can take place in an engineering industry or with some other equipment or some other thing, it will be limited to one place only. It will be limited to that particular department, it may be limited to that particular person or that particular machinery, at the most that particular block section. But a fire accident, not only it will only limit to that particular place, but it extends to the whole factory. Not only the whole factory, sometimes it may extend to the neighbors also. That is the reason we should be more careful in tackling the fire. Further, the identification of hazard, taking the remedial measures for prevention of those kind of hazards, whether it is a static accumulation or short circuit, whatever may be the reason for the fire, we need to identify, and we should equip ourselves with required equipment. Fire Act is there, they specifically mention what are the required provisions to maintain. Earlier under Factories Act, we used to have one section, Rule 61, but because there is a special act that prevails over the factories rules. But now with OSH code, state government is not prescribing any rules for the fire. That is, state government is not empowered to prescribe the rules on fire. On all the safety issues, under OSH code, central government is empowered to issue the directions now. So whatever, so the factories rules earlier they giving the directions on safety, almost 90% of these things central government is going to prescribe to have a uniform standards of safety throughout the country. In that, they may prescribe some fire safety norms also. But what are their norms? Definitely our state government fire safety norms will be more useful for us, and we have to follow whatever those norms are there, whether it is applicable to them or not. I think new rules, they may be made applicable to all, that is a different issue, but we have to take it in spirit, not only whether it is a legal requirement or not. As I told you, the maintenance of safety, maintenance of the safety of the people is not a mere statutory obligation. It is a moral obligation for us, and it is an obligation for our sustainable running of the factory. If there is any, last year, you might be knowing there was one big incident in the state of Telangana. Till now the factory is not open. Till the factory is in a closed state. So this kind of things will happen if something happens, untoward incident takes place in the factory, particularly in a pharma factory which is susceptible for more fire incidents because of the handling of flammable material like solvents or the new hazards. Normally we know the dust hazards happening somewhere else, XYZ places, but I think for first time we have had a major incident occurred due to the dust explosion. That too in a unit which neither we can call completely chemical factory, completely pharmaceutical factory. And it is not classified as a major accident hazard factory also, because there is some definition of the major accident hazard under MSASC rules. It will not qualify to be that. Normally when we go for any inspection to the factory, if a bulk drug factory if we rate the bulk drug factory the hazards in 1-2 scale or 8 or 9, this kind of factory we may be rating 3 or 4. Because this is the normal attitude of any, whether it is a government department or you, because the accidents were not there earlier due to dust explosion. We might have had this in China, where in a bread factory due to maida dust explosion, some explosion taking place in somewhere, in sugar factory, some sugar explosion taking place. Dairy industry also. So any powder, that to a combustible powder, it is prone for dust explosion. And if you see the dust that exploded, the value, KP value, is far lower than coal, maida or sugar. It is far lower than that. In spite of that, the incident took place there because it is an enclosed place. If you see the maida factories, other places, they are not enclosed places. It is not completely closed, but this particular thing is in a completely closed place. Why I am costing the pharma industries is because to have a good quality of your product and GMP regulations or whatever may be the customer regulations, you are making it in a closed environment with maybe air handling unit will be there, number of air changes will be there, but if something is happening there, there is a large possibility of accumulation of whether it is a dust or a flammable vapor inside a closed room, which can ignite and cause major incident when compared to a reaction taking place in open areas. Where there are open areas means where there are a lot of ventilation provision, natural ventilation provision to have a cross ventilation to which dilutes the flammable mixer or which dilutes the dust. So we need to be more careful when we are working, particularly pharma industry, when we are working in a closed system. So as I told you, the first level is hazard identification, the second level is emergency planning, the third level is safety audit. Safety audit is, these levels I have mentioned is under MSASC rules, threshold quantities of chemicals are mentioned. Which industry requires the safety audit, which industry requires the on-site emergency plan, which industry requires to submit hazard identification. Hazard identification is required to be submitted by all the industries. And state government, most probably, we may frame rules making it mandatory to have a certain categories of factories to have safety audit at a predetermined intervals, irrespective of what is mentioned in the MSASC rules, depending upon the hazards what we identified. They are under preparation, so I cannot comment on that. Most probably, we may get such kind of rules for this thing. The pharma industry also, there is a lot of improvement. I am seeing the pharma industry from almost 90s here in this area. When compared to 20 years back. Now a lot of improvement is there. Maybe it is due to the regulatory department like practice department or the fire services. If the regulatory department responsibility is 50%, remaining 50% I will give it to your customer. The customers forcing you to do those things also made our job easy, and now there is definitely a lot of improvement is there compared to earlier days, 30 years back. 30 years or 35 years back, even in this GDMET, I used to argue, the management of a big chemical factories used to argue with me, sir, my reaction, it is not exothermic reaction, why I should provide the safety relief valve? Even if it is a distillation is there, they used to argue. Now it is not like that. Any distillation, people are providing safety relief valve. If it is a closed reactor, we are insisting that the safety relief valve should be provided, and the managements are providing. But 25-30 years back, there used to be resistance even from the big factories in this area. There is not required, so condenser is there, condenser vent will be there. But what will happen if the condenser vent is closed? These are the questions we used to pose to make them understand. Similarly, the fire hydrant system also. Because a lot of small industries are there in GDMET area, most of the industries were not having the fire hydrant system at that time. Subsequently, after 2010 or 11, there is one big fire accident in phase 1. Durga Intermediates or some factory. After that, again the awareness has gone to a different level, and people have started, even the small units have started providing fire hydrant system and improving their firefighting facilities. So I take this opportunity to request you all once again to identify the hazards properly and take the remedial measures and to prevent incidents at the first step. Second, even after taking the precautions, there are possibilities of such an accident taking place, whatever the precautions we take. So we should be ready to tackle it with a proper emergency planning, and proper firefighting is one of the important ingredients for emergency planning. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with you. Thank you very much.
So I request Manoj to hand over a memento to Mohan Babu garu. I think Rajan also. To the dignitaries on the audience, on the stage. I am very sure that you all would love to have a much bigger audience than what it is. We promise that. Thank you, sir. Now may I request Mr. Tapas Saha, the chair of CEP, to address the gathering. The applause of the dais is louder than the audience.
Good morning. Good morning. Respected Sri G.V. Narayan Rao, Director, Telangana Fire Service, chief guest for today's program. Mr. Mohan Babu garu, Director of Factories, Telangana. Mr. Sarvesh Singh, CEO Life Science. Mr. Manoj, President of FESA, and Mr. Hussain, Secretary, and my fellow colleague, Asad Padisetti, Joint Secretary of Council of GHS Professional, and all of the participants for today's program. Yeah, this is the FESA, the Fire Electrical Safety Association and Automation, that for pharma industry, they have taken this program for today. I really appreciate the effort of the FSI for taking the pharma industry in Hyderabad is a lifeline. And in terms of revenue generation, it is the highest revenue generation as a standalone sector. But when we talk the fire and safety on pharma industries, see the first thing what is coming in our mind, that though we are manufacturing life-saving drugs, this is our job. We are manufacturing life-saving drugs for the patient, to reduce the burden of the patient, whatever. And we are serving across the globe. But most of the process pharma sectors is life-threatening to the environment and the people. This is the paradox of pharma industries, what we are doing or what we are serving for the society. If you take any process, any chemicals available in this earth, it is used in pharma industry either directly or indirectly or in a derivative form. You take any chemicals, whether it is a sodium cyanide or used in the pharma industry, as a very good reducing agent in the pharma industry. Sodium cyanide. I have personally used sodium cyanide also in our company. So these are the challenges of pharma industries. And when you are talking about these things, that safety, what Mohan Babu Garu is telling also that we have to take care of all these things. So when you are thinking this is hazardous, dangerous, even regulatory body also identify pharma industry as highly hazardous industry. Most of the APIs are the red category industry, formulation are orange category. But in terms of hazard, it is no less than whether API, whether it is a formulation, all are equally dangerous. Because most of the chemicals highly flammable. If it is not flammable, it is highly toxic. It is coming everything under hazardous category. So this is the challenges today really it has come up. And what Sir is telling Mohan Babu Garu that because of that regulatory challenge, regulatory compliance, customers requirement, all these things, really pharma company. The last 35 years I am in the pharma sector. I started my career in pharma, probably ending also in the pharma economy. I have seen the changes. Once the change has come 35 years and today, I myself feel ashamed. Let me tell you, what I did 35 years back actually. This is the realization when I am at the end of my career. Huge opportunity is there. At the same time, if you really take care, it is not like that every day getting accident. Till I am surviving, working 35 years in the pharma industry, till I am alive. That means I save myself. It is not like that. The risk is there. Everywhere is risk. Without risk, you can't walk also. You can't drive the car also. You can't fly also. Risk is always there. But how to control the risk? That is the challenge. And that is, it is possible. 99% is possible. 1% I cannot put it. It is acts of God. Maybe due to the storm, due to the lightning, due to the anything can happen. But 99% we can take care of ourselves. That is what Mohan Babu Garu also telling. Today we are talking that fire safety prevention is better than cure. Whatever you can take, whatever the system, the process in place, but system can deviate. It is also system. Anything can deviate sometime. But you have the protection factor also, like the firefighting system, all the things come. But that is not enough today. That now second level has come automation. You have put up the system, but we don't know how it is working or not. Because it is not used regular basis. No, it has gone the backside. At the time of real emergency, your firefighting system not working. It happened, many times it happened. Your firefighting nozzle is not operating, water is not coming. Some of the cases we have seen that there is no water in the water tank also. It happened in the Salman Khan in a few years back in the Bombay, corporate office. There is no water in the water tank. So what do firefighting will be doing? So these are the challenges always there. And then automation has come. But really I appreciate the FESA that automation has come up. Now you can put a system, devices. You can monitor your firefighting system, how it is working, whether the water level is there, what the pressure is maintaining or not, whether your jockey pump is working or not. You can get real-time data. The real-time data is very, very important because in case of emergency. Otherwise, really it will be you have to rely on the mercy of the God. Something he can do, probably then you can save ourselves. So I request that everybody, that being a pharma professionals, we are taking the risk by design, by profession, but definitely we can save ourselves, we can save the environment also. At the same time, we can save the society by servicing, making the drugs. And we feel proud. Even day before yesterday, there is a session on our member secretary for Telangana Pollution Control Board also came here. Here we are now thinking for $1 trillion company, state. When it wants to go to $1 trillion state, the stake of the pharma company is very high. And we feel proud for that. The way the pharma company expanding, a lot of new companies, biotechnology is coming up now, biosimilars coming, as Aurobindo Pharma, we are also bringing a lot of new projects. Recently we have inaugurated 1,000 crore investment on biosimilars product in our Bodapatla area, that Sangareddy district. So many things are coming up. And at the same time, we have to protect ourselves. and where FESA really can work on that, and we are fully, will be given a pharma professional, we give the full support to the FESA to bring the automation so that it will really help to save the people, save the properties in real-time emergency. I wish all the best for today's program and success, and hope that in future also you will do a lot of programs. Today may not be much more pharma people came. Definitely in future there will be no space to sit here. We have to arrange more space, chairs for the people to come. I hope all the best. Thank you.
Absolutely. Surviving is a skill, and he has shown how he has survived for 35 years. The other very prominent thing what he was saying also is the commitment towards the society and towards the team of, means the people around. So what is important? That kind of, that is the spirit by which organizations grow, and this is what he has been exhibiting for quite some years, and that is why the organization has grown to about more than 2,500 members now, sir. And I am telling you, as FSAI, we all commit ourselves that for the next event, no chair will be vacant and these corridors are free. And it is not very far out, we may be doing it in your next event, sir. Take it from us. And I request Hussein to honor Mr. Tapasar. Can you go a little front to the, yes. A round of applause. Thank you. And sir, now may I request Sri Sarvesh Singh, CEO, Telangana Life Sciences, and the guest of honor to address the gathering.
Honorable dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all of you. I would like to thank FSAI for organizing this event, because I think there has been a lot of focus on industrial development, a lot of focus on scientific development, but there has been very few forums where we have been discussing more on fire and safety. And in most of the companies, there is still a culture that fire and safety is treated more like a compliance. It's not something which is being discussed more from a strategic perspective. And most of the investments which are happening for fire and safety compliance, they are more that, okay, this is a requirement from a regulator, let's do it. It's not that, hey, this is need of the hour and we need to do it. If we look from the Telangana Life Sciences perspective, we are pharmaceutical capital of India. Rather, we are pharmaceutical capital of the world also, if we look from that state perspective and the amount of production which we do. 40% of APIs and generics which are exported outside India, they are produced here in Telangana. We are vaccine capital of the world because 1/3 of global world vaccine that is produced here. It means every third vaccine which you see here on the planet is actually produced on this soil. And Telangana played a key role during COVID because of the mass vaccine manufacturing which we did, not just for the country but even for the entire world. If you look from the global capability centers perspective, again we are the life sciences and healthcare global capability center of the world. The number of GCCs which we have here in Hyderabad, Telangana is highest compared to any other city in the world. If we look at FDA approved manufacturing plants, we have got 269 plus, and that is much more than any other city, including any city in US as well. The next is New Jersey in US, which has around 190. So I think with this huge infrastructure, there comes a huge responsibility. And
forums like this could raise the bar, they could raise the awareness, and they could take the discussion to the next level. I was discussing with Director for Fire Safety here for State of Telangana, right? And he was telling me that what all had changed over last few years, right? And what all has not changed and needs to change. I think a couple of things which probably need to change. One is that it should not be seen as a compliance thing. Second is that fire and safety should not be limited to CCTV cameras, limited to access controls, limited to just organizing those fire drills. It should go up, and instead of acting on the things once event has occurred, there should be more and more utilization of all the technologies which are available. So there are a lot of technologies which are currently available using AI and deep tech where you can do predictive analytics. And I think that is something which FSAI can do looking at the network which it has built. So there is an opportunity where they can partner with global tech players and they can say that, hey, these are the events which have occurred in the past, how we can use latest technologies so that we move to predictive analytics instead of doing something and calling fire brigade once fire has occurred. Second is that the nature of fire safety which is required, especially from the pharmaceutical perspective, is you look at the nature of chemicals which are being used, right? You look at nature of biological components and the biological research which is happening and what type of issues which it can cause. I think safety probably needs to move from just being physical safety. I think it needs to move and go a level up where it should be more on the entire security, whether it is data security, whether it is infrastructure security, whether it is your hazardous chemical security, whether it is biologic security, because still when people hear on fire and safety, they still look only at the physical infrastructure. And I think there is an opportunity for FSAI, one, to integrate technology, to get into predictive maintenance. Second is to redefine the safety norms, because we are still using several decades old safety norms which only calls of physical infrastructure. Probably we need to start talking of digital infrastructure security, we need to start talking of biologics infrastructure security, we need to start talking of chemical infrastructure security, because at the end of the day, safety is not just physical safety. Safety is much more beyond that physical infrastructure and is slowly being redefined with the way we live and the way nature of hazardous components and the nature of all the components which come under safety is changing. So with this, I wish this event a great success, and I look forward to hearing more on what is coming out at end of day and what are we going to do differently as we move as part of FSAI in years to come, in decades to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for not only bringing out what is currently required and also setting up a vision of digital security. In fact, it was on Tuesday where the DG Fire Services has conducted an event. I talked about how IoT and AI can change the digital platform, security platform of Telangana, where the audience was more than 800 and I had a standing ovation. I would love to repeat it to this audience in the next session. That's what I was saying, we'll have a full house. And now may I request Chandrasekhar to kindly honor Sri Sarvesh Singh with the moment of peace. Now we have our chief guest who has also keenly prepared. Hello, sir, because you have prepared the PPT, I would prefer all the dignitaries of the audience to sit in the row. Yes. And can somebody help in removing this chair so that It was very just before we set it up for him. Also, after the current director, past I know, after the current director, we'll have the future director speaking, but before that, we will have it. Between that, we will have a tea break so that everybody will. Now, may I request our chief guest to address the gathering.
Good morning, all the dignitaries and guests here. So, we have a little crowd, but I am confident serious crowd. Given the size of the industry here and the importance of the industry sensitivity and the hazardness and the essentiality of the industry, I think we should reach to more people in the industry. So, with these few words, I would like to start. For this fire electrical security automation in the pharma industry, we need to build a resilient company, zero incident pharmaceutical manufacturing hubs in Telangana as a goal of the government, the state government, and also in the interest of the nation and the world at large. The vision of Telangana's industry vision is putting Telangana's position as a vaccine capital of the world and global bulk drug hub through world-class fire and life safety infrastructure. So there is a regulatory and compliance mandate for that which is required. We have national building construction standards 2026 and the industry practices. So we need to have strict implementation of this. Though there will be other directions for the Ministry of Industry from the Government of India, as Mohan Babu Garu has said. We are not contradicting anybody. In fact, we would like to join those with all the central government and directions from different ministries. We need to have a constructive approach. There is a lot of talk now of deregulation and decriminalization. Where we are with that? So there is a lot of deregulation and decriminalization aspects and ease of doing business and all those directives consistently from the government of India. And there are a lot of follow-up meetings being organized at the state level also, requiring compliance from different departments, fire services, factories, and all departments. But we should also be aware that we need to have a zero accident policy. There is zero tolerance for accidents, and this is a serious thing. We want to be people friendly, but we cannot be friendly to disasters. Or disasters creating environment. We cannot. Our responsibility is far beyond those expressions. So we need to have a non-negotiable attitude for hazard mitigation. We need to have our industry strategic frameworks that ensure process safety, structural fire endurance, and active protection systems designed right at the master plan stage. We are for a productive department partnership. The fire department views NOC compliance not as an annual hurdle, but as a collaborative safety assurance partnership. We are encouraging regular third-party fire audits, hazard, impact and risk analysis studies, and seamless renewal protocols that guarantee continuous operational readiness. The critical hazards in pharma units, where solvent vapors involve sparking, favorable liquid transfer involving toluene, acetone carries high flash fire risk from static discharge. There is a risk of electrical short circuits due to overloaded panels and unrated clean room wiring that remain the number one trigger for industrial ignitions. You have combustible gas clouds, API milling and micronization generate explosive organic gas requiring immediate containment. You have exothermic runaways with reactor vessel pressure spikes that need to be automated early with cooling and emergency relief systems. We also need to have early detection using VESDA. It's an aspirating spoke VESDA that means continuous air sampling, provides ultra early detection in clean rooms and high airflow HVAC ducts where smoke gets rapidly diluted. So FESA stands for Very Early Smoke Detection Apparatus. It is an advanced fire alarm system that detects smoke hundreds of times faster and more accurately than a standard ceiling smoke detector. As Mr. Service was saying, you need to go for predictive AI and all. It's a way forward. Prevention is what is required now. You need to be more sensitive, more effective in predicting things. The FESA works with a continuous air sampling. Instead of waiting for smoke to rise to the ceiling, a network of small sampling pipes actively and continuously draws air samples from around the room into a central detector unit. You have an inbuilt laser-based detection inside the detector unit with a high-precision laser beam analyzing the air sample. It can identify microscopic smoke particles long before they become visible to the human eye. It is essential for pharma clean rooms as this overcomes smoke dilution. Clean rooms and HVAC ducts feature extremely high airflow rates. The high velocity rapidly dilutes and scatters smoke, preventing standard smoke detectors from triggering in time. Your ultra early warning FESA catches the earliest signs of smoldering, such as an overheating wire or machine component, hours before open flames appear. You can prevent costly downtime with this. Triggering an alert at the pre-combustion stage allows facility managers to fix an issue before a fire starts, saving multi-crore drug batches and avoiding planned shutdowns. We also have multi-spectrum UV or infrared systems. The optical flame detectors catch invisible chemical solvent flames in tank forms and recovery units in milliseconds. So these multi-spectrum UV or IR optical flame detectors use specialized light sensors to detect chemical fires instantly, even when the flames are completely invisible to the human eye. The flammable solvents heavily used in pharma plants like IPA, methanol and ethanol burn with clean, clear flames that produce zero smoke and are invisible in daylight. A UV or IR detector senses the invisible light energy emitted by chemical flames and triggers an alarm within milliseconds. The UV and IR work together. They detects the energy light waves emitted at the moment of ignition. The UV sensor detects the high energy light waves emitted at the moment of ignition, and the infrared sensor detects the thermal heat radiation and flickering pattern unique to burning chemicals. This multispectrum, the device continuously monitors multiple light wavelengths. At once, it only triggers the alarm when both UV and IR signals match the exact profile of a real fire. So this prevents the false alarms. Single sensor detectors can be easily fooled by bright sunlight, artificial lights or welding sparks. By combining multiple UV and IR wavelengths, the detector accurately filters out artificial glare and only responds to actual chemical fires. These have a primary application in pharma facilities like solvent tank farms, bulk outdoor or indoor chemical storage tanks, solvent recovery units, distillation and chemical recycling areas where flammable vapors gather. The thermal imaging camera, infrared cameras, they need to be function 24/7. They identify electrical hotspots and reactor jacket temperature spikes before flame formation. The thermal air cameras are heat sensing infrared cameras. Instead of taking regular pictures, these specialized cameras measure the exact surface temperatures of equipment and display heat visually as a light color map, where hot areas appear bright yellow or red. The function is as follows. The infrared radiation, every object emits thermal energy. Thermal cameras convert this invisible or heat radiation into a visible thermal image, and there is a pre-flame detection. The dangerous temperature increases long before smoke or even flames even appear. They are critical for pharma plants as they identify electrical hotspots like overloaded electrical panels, loose wire connections, or failing breaker switches that heat up drastically before sparking. Thermal cameras catch these hidden hotspots so engineers can fix them before a short circuit causes a major factory fire. You need to monitor reactor vessels continuously. Chemical reactions in API manufacturing must stay within precise temperature limits. If cooling fails and a reactor jacket experiences a rapid temperature spike, thermal runway. A thermal camera triggers an early warning to prevent an overpressure explosion. The shift from fire protection from reactive firefighting, extinguishing the fire after it starts, to proactive prevention, stopping the fire before ignition occurs, is imperative and essential. You also need to take care of clean room fire suppression systems, as you have to ensure zero residue gaseous agents. You need to use FK 5112 or NOVEC. These extinguishes fires in seconds without leaving chemical residues, protecting multi-core blood patches and sterile qualifications. Also electrically non-conductive, completely safe for sensitive analytical clean room equipment, SCADA instruments and active personnel. You cannot use water or dry chemical, and this eliminates the water damage, corrosion and months of sterile facility decontamination downtime. The automatic HVAC fire dampers, the system should be set to instantly interlock, trip HVAC recirculation as dampers upon gas release to contain suppression agent concentration for quick extinguishing of a fire in that area. The clean room fire suppression in pharmaceutical plants, they need high-tech clean rooms and laboratories that cannot use water, sprinklers or dry chemical powder extinguishers to fight fires. Instead, they have to rely on gaseous cleaning agent for fire suppression systems. The clean rooms house multi-core analytical instruments, computer screens and sterile automation equipment. Use of water or dry chemical powder causes severe short circuits and rusting, while dry chemical powder corrodes electronics. You also need to avoid contamination downtime. Spraying water or powder destroys entire dead batches and ruins the sterile environment. So decontaminating and recertifying a clean room after water or powder exposure can shut down production for months. The clean agents work in such a manner that there is zero chemical residue. Systems deploy clean gaseous agents like NOVEC or inert gases like IG541. The gas floods the room, rapidly absorbs heat energy and extinguishes the fire in seconds without leaving a single drop of liquid or powder behind. And they are electrically non-conductive. The suppression gas does not conduct electricity. It is completely safe to discharge while electrical panels, servers and SCADA systems are active. And there is automation of HVAC interlocks containing the gas. Clean rooms use strong ventilation HVAC systems. Upon fire detection, automated interlocks instantly close the HVAC fire dampers. This holds the suppression gas inside the room so it can extinguish the fire effectively without blowing away. Clean agent suppression stops clean room fires in seconds, protects multi-core equipment from damage and prevents costly plant downtime. So action plan for industry leaders, they need to have a holistic view apart from fire prevention. You need to have integrated safety and automation. You need to connect firearms directly to emergency solvent, shut-off valves, power tripping and access control. You need to have a proactive gap assessment, move beyond basic statutory checklists, conduct rigorous process safety management audits, train emergency response teams, ensure they are equipped round the clock with self-contained building apparatus gear and practical fire suppression training. You need to have joint mock drills with the fire service department. This all for Surakshit Telangana with Surakshit Pharma. Let us join hands to build a zero incident, safe and sustainable pharmaceutical hub. Thank you. The AI component is also there as Sarvesh has told, but I think I will stop with that. But you need to use that also. Predictive analysis is essential. You can't afford any accident. It has a lot of fatalities. Even last night there was a fire incident at Chotapal Hazel Pharma. 2 people died. You don't want such a scenario. Once incident happens, then you react. You say we have worked for hours, you have turned out many fire tenders and brigades, but still there is a loss of life, there is loss of industry, and loss of life is very serious. We are in a serious business. Pharma industry is, I say, it's hazardous, dangerous, sensitive, but essential also. There are many things, and my presence here is to express my solidarity with the industry on behalf of the department, because frequently this is one of our main concerns now. There are many accidents. I can list out, as Mohan Babu has spoken about many fire accidents and all. I can list out this. Almost it's beyond count, I believe. The fact frequently, which is really every day, it's really alarming. You can't afford to have so many accidents so frequently. This has to be stopped. You need to be more cautious, more serious at all levels, from the floor level, the topmost management and everybody. Thank you very much.
I would request you to remain on stage, and I request Mr. Tapas Saha and Manoj Wali to honor our chief guest for the day. A round of applause, please. We are getting well covered in the press. There may not be much audience here, so thank you. And thank you. The chief guest also has mentioned about predictive analysis. So a lot of movement is happening towards the digital protection in the fire safety. On this note, I would request we will have a tea break. Please visit the stalls that are there who have been, and we will assemble in 20 minutes from now. Thank you.